Hi and welcome to today's video. It's going to be a little bit different than our other videos. I'm actually going to be doing a screen recording, which you can kind of see right now. You can still hear me. I've checked that out. It's just going to be easier for what we're going to be learning a little bit today is to do a screen recording. So I'm going to be showing you some different drawing techniques and stuff, but it's going to be a little bit easier for me and for you to see this all as if it's going the right way. So I'm actually going to start out and we're going to actually learn a little bit of how to use guidelines and stuff, and then we're going to transition into how to do more things with that. So for guidelines, if you don't know in drawing, it's, let's say you want to draw a head or something. So maybe you like drawing people, but you always struggle to get the head right and stuff. You can use guidelines. So guidelines are very simple. They're just shapes and stuff, and you kind of map out a little bit of because every human body has a little bit of shape. So like the head, is kind of circular. And then usually, you got the jaw. I usually make a line first, and then I kind of map out where I want the jaw to go. So maybe they're facing this way. And then you can kind of block that in. And you don't have to worry about anything looking perfect. This is just kind of basic stuff. You're kind of getting the ideas out on the paper. I kind of made that a little big. That's fine. So maybe, well, if you ever look at the human body, the shoulders are or your torso is kind of this square trapezoidal type shape. So you can kind of make this shape. And that's, it's bigger up top because you have your shoulders, and then smaller at the bottom where you're more at the waist, and obviously filling in shoulders. I've noticed that they kind of make this nice egg shape. That's how I get a really nice shoulder shape myself. And so you just kind of make these egg shapes. And then here, I'll make this a little smaller and redo that. So the size of the human head, there's usually, let's see, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's about 6 to. It depends on how you want to space out the body, but there's usually 6 human heads length to make a properly proportioned body length. So you have your head here. Just a basic head. And then you'd have the equivalent of that head size, however many times, here, 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 here. So then your shoulders and stuff start here, and then you kind of have your chest starting at that part here. So your shoulders would start right about here. And then it's probably width-wise for shoulders, it's about a head width each. So you have the head, and then we could imagine this here. So this here would be how wide your shoulders would be. Generally, you can make them wider, you can make them thinner. Really all about what you want to do with it. And then obviously you can just be whoosh. And don't worry about it too much about making it perfect. Usually in between these two marks right here is where I usually put where I guess I would imagine the belly button to be. So I'm going to make that trapezoidal shape, right about here. And then usually about a little under this mark is about where you're going to put your hips. You don't want to have no hips, in which that's kind of just another continuation. And then your thighs usually go about here. Looks like I didn't put enough room quite for the feet, but I'll explain that out. So thighs run about here, in which you just kind of want to and continue the thighs here. Your knees or your ankles are right about here, and then where your ankles would be. So then you have your calves and everything, and that continues. And then you just have your feet down here that just got a little bit cut off. But that's not a whole lot more added to it. And then usually your hands, the fingertips end about right here, mid thighs. So then you're gonna want to block off the squares where your palms will go, and then between the palms and the shoulders, you're gonna go at about halfway is where your elbows are. So then you just have your biceps here, and then obviously the rest of your arms. Your biceps, and then the rest of your arms. And then you have your hands and fingertips. So that's just kind of like basically blocking out the body. Beyond that, here, let me clear this again. You can get more detailed and stuff. Honestly, for me, I kind of get a really rough estimate of what I want, or like I have a pose I like, and don't feel that you can't look at pictures and stuff, because it's very hard to get the body right without looking at it. So what I'll do sometimes is I'll take a picture of myself, and then I'll use that picture of myself to kind of like, and then I'll kind of sketch that. Otherwise, I know I sometimes, like, my friends will help me, and if I have like a picture I want to draw and I can't get like I can't take the picture of myself to get it, I'll have like a friend help out, and then I'll kind of use them as like a reference. But honestly, just practicing that a lot really helps me. And don't worry, I usually just draw it really roughly, and then I'll refine it after that. I'll show you some of the harder stuff, which is like drawing the guidelines for the head and everything. So there's basically what can be considered about a couple different head positions. I mean, there's the one that you're all really familiar with, which is just the straight facing, which is, you know, the center line, which you could imagine to be where your nose is at. It follows straight down the face, so when you're looking at it, the nose is centered on the face, and generally the chin and stuff is fairly symmetrical and even. That can be really hard to get even in drawing and stuff, but you guys can do it. I know you can. And then generally, after I have the circle, this is about where I put the top of the head. So this is where I usually put the hairline, or the top of the hair. I usually draw it like that just because it's easier for me to remember. And then I usually, where the circle is, I'll go a little bit above, and that's where I put the line across where like the eyes would go. And then you know, usually your eyes are about like here. So then once you draw your eyes there, and then I usually chunk up where the eyes are at into about third sections. So this is about where the lips go, like where you'd have your mouth. And then I'd have my nose, like the very, like I'd have it starting like about there. And then obviously your eyes here. And then ears on a front facing face, I usually would go about, I'd start a little bit. Okay, so you have your eyebrows, and your eyebrows obviously go above your eyes. So wherever you start your eyebrows, and depending on how much you really want to overemphasize the eyebrows, I start the ear a little bit under, but I let the top of the ear, the very tippy top of your ear, is where I'll start it. I'll have it meet up with like the top part of your eyebrow, because if you ever look at like somebody from facing on, and then your ear, if you go across from like where your nose and eyebrow is, and you just draw it straight across your face, it actually lines up with your ear, and it's the same size as your ear. So you want that spacing. Obviously you can play with this. I know a friend that draws ears, and they draw them like big and like kind of like that. That's totally fine too. These are just kind of like guidelines for you. And if anybody knows anything about art, sometimes rules are meant to be broken. But understanding the rules before breaking them can really help you, because then you'll understand you'll understand it, and then you'll break it, and it'll be like a purposeful breaking of the rules, minus like you just don't understand type of a thing. And that way, if you have something you don't like and you want to change that, or you want to emphasize or something, you understand and you can go and you can do it if you don't like it. So there's that. That's like front facing. Obviously, like nose wise, your nose and the inner corner of your eye all meet up. So if you draw a line down on your own face, that's kind of where they all meet up. And then where your pupils are is actually where the corners of your mouth go. So if you go from where the pupils are, that's where the corners of your mouth go. So that's kind of a nice guide for that. And then like eyebrows start at the inner corner of your eye and they end at the outer corner of your eye. So you just know a little bit about eyebrow sizing that way. And like I said, the measuring it out. And usually where I put the eyes guide is about halfway down the face. Maybe a little up from that, depending on how big I want the face to feel. Okay, and so then we're going to actually switch to like a side profile, or what they call like a 3/4 view. So you can see 3/4 of the face. That's why it's called the 3/4 view. I don't know I don't know what grades you're all in, so I don't know if you've done fractions and stuff, but that's just what it's called. Okay, so then I usually do my guideline and I angle it out from the circle. And then we just I usually drew my chin line here. And if you ever look at like cheeks and stuff, your cheeks will actually move. Your cheeks have a little bit of volume there. So I usually gauge where the cheek is about at and I'll let that go. And it'll be where your eye's coming out. And then you actually can build up a little bit here where your brow bone is. That depends on how prominent that is. But that's totally up to you. I don't always draw it like that. Just because myself, like my brow bone isn't super prominent. And then generally at about 1/4 here is where your ear/jaw would go. So then you just kind of angle like that. And then same with this. This one you're gonna have to curve for the eye line because your face is turning, and so it's going to be arcing in. And then the ears, the brow bone's probably gonna be like, I'd probably put the eyebrows at about here. So the brow bone, your ears are gonna go like this. And then I'd put the nose at about right here, probably. And then this one, the eyes, probably about there. And like I said, the eyebrows probably here. So then your mouth corner is going to be over here. And then you're going to be careful here. And then there's your mouth. And then maybe some lips. And then you'd have like an eye here. And just remember that your eyes end here. And that you're going to not see the very inner corner of that eye that's facing away from you. Just because your nose bridge will probably cover that. And that's generally about how I space out a 3/4 view. And then there's of course what I actually struggle with the most is the completely side profile. The completely side profile. Okay. Oh, that's a bad circle. There we go. Nope. There we go. That's a little better. And your circles don't have to be perfect. You just want them to be nicer circles. You get better the more you draw them. Like I said, they don't have to be perfect. So for like a completely side profile, you're actually gonna probably split this in half. And this is gonna be not where your chin goes. Or it is, you're gonna have some of your chin, but it's gonna be like the side of your jaw and stuff, where your ear is. So, and then you'll cut it right about here in half. So this is about where your ear is gonna be at placement wise. And then what I like to do is I just kind of draw like this, and then I'll come in with like your chin. And for this, your eyes and stuff, you obviously this one, the brow bone is going to be prominent, so you'll want to put that in. And then, like I said, the bottom of your nose is going to be right here, so you'll want to put your nose in, because when you're obviously you're going to have your nose sticking out. And then you'll have lips, and then you'll have like the chin, so like there could be like a view of the side, and then there's the mouth and your brows. And this one you'll actually only see one eye, and I'll actually erase a little bit just so I can kind of show you how to draw a side profile eye, because that can be difficult. So for the eyes side profile, just remember that your eyes are going to, just the way they're shaped and they're the circles, is your pupil and stuff is actually going to be like here, and it's not going to be like over here, up there. It's going to be there. That's just kind of like a side. I'll erase this out and I'll get on to the next. Okay, so once you've kind of gotten like the basics of the head, there's a couple different things like how you want to draw eyes and stuff. Eyes come in a lot of shapes and a lot of sizes, and just the kind of detailing you do on them, that's up to you. We could spend multiple videos just covering eyes, to be honest. But honestly, just kind of like look at some of your cartoons you really like. That can be a really good inspo for eyes and stuff. Also, these kind of principles and stuff of like shapes and stuff apply beyond like the human body, so like animals and stuff do it as well. They're usually a little bit more like circles and stuff, so like a horse would be like, if I was to draw a horse, it would be like a circle here, and then like two big circles for like front and the other, and then like a smaller circle here in which you have the neck like this, and then some arcing for the back, and then obviously like here, and then you have like where the legs would be, and that's like a squares, and then the face obviously, and then you got where the ears would be, and then where your hooves, and I'll usually put in this before I do it like that. And this is just kind of like a fast, I mean, obviously you look at the animals and stuff, and then you have obviously like more legs and stuff, and but yeah, just look at like the shapes of things and kind of like, you know, is that a square or is that, you know, a circle? And just kind of breaking objects around you or people or animals that you want to draw into shapes can be really helpful when you're learning to draw them. And then it'll help you not only when you're drawing from reference and stuff, but also kind of like when you want to be creative and you want to draw something that you don't see or you haven't seen yet. And having an understanding of the kind of shapes that might be there or are there will really help you draw beyond that. Thanks for watching so far. I hope you've enjoyed the videos as much as I have. They've been really interesting for me, and I hope that you all have had a wonderful week and will continue to. And this is where we're going to actually cut off the video.